this is kind of a getting off point for this car. If you remember, we originally started out with this car. We had it sectioned the entire rear of it. We got those replacement trunk floor, which wasn't even close for it. The entire front clip of this car was replaced. Massive amounts of metal in this car have been reconstructed to meet standard. Right now it's in a stage where you would want to put the chassis back together if that was what your intention was. And that's where it's at right now. The owner of the car is coming to pick it up, and he's going to do some of the assembly work on the chassis. Then inevitably the car comes back and you finish the exterior. But when you think about what it took to get to this point, this car was part of the collection we brought from our old shop to the new shop. It's been here probably close to a year, and it's taken a tremendous amount of effort, energy, and talent to bring it back to where it is now. Is it worth it? Me as a builder can never answer that for you. That's something that only you can answer. This car has a very strong affinity in the customer's eye. This is a car that he's had for a long time. So he has lots of memories associated with it, so it was easily justifiable to him to save it. If you're semi-passionate about your Alphas, this may not have been a car for you, because it took an awful lot of resources to bring this back to this state. If a car is something that's very deep into your family's history or your personal history, it's sometimes much easier to go, okay, I want to save it and bring it back to its former glory. And that's what we've done here. This car is very, very close. A little more sanding on the body, and it's ready for silver color and road time. But anyhow, some things I want to make sure you're aware of. If you notice in the opening shots, we showed you the textured surfaces under the car. That same texture surface is inside the car, but to the exception of it being black on the inside. That is a Teflon-based texture. It's not to be associated with in any way as your traditional undercoating. There is no oil-based product in it. It is all Teflon, and the stuff that's under the car is tintable, meaning we can make it body color. The stuff inside the car is just natural black. What's nice about this stuff is it holds that gloss look to it forever. So as you've driven your car, you got mud and debris and salt and whatever other road erosions under your car, you can wash it all off and it'll return back to that surface color. It's easy to clean, and it really helps the car to be protected against rust. It's something we put in almost every last one of our cars unless somebody's not wanting it. But I would say 90+% of the cars that we do end up getting this or something like this on it. It's just going to preserve the car long term. Other than that, that's kind of the end of the line for this car. When it comes back, it'll be heading towards body, but for now, it is as solid as a car as it will ever be. It's actually better than it was from the factory in the sense that it's better welded, it's far more protected against the environment, and it's ready to go.
Customer car is back within a week. Customer was really busy with this car. He's got a lot of the mechanicals installed in the engine. We've got the steering box in, we've got the pedal assembly in, the suspension in, he's got his wheels on, steering wheels in, fuel cells in. So now the next steps on this project is just to do some final detail work in the inside, refinishing the inside of the car, making sure the deck lid is lined up really nicely. You can see this black looks really good up against the red and the aluminum. We've got final body work to do. We're going to block this thing out, make sure it's nice and straight. and then we'll go into color. So we're pretty close to getting this project wrapped up for the customer.
Manufacturers now have those really cool fuel cells that straddle the rear axle of the GTs. I like them a lot. I have one in my car. You can get them from a couple of the suppliers in Europe, and there's a couple variations, and you can't really go wrong with either one of them, so we endorse both, neither over the other. Anyhow, the problem with those is, especially if you've got a step nose, they want you to give up your classic gauge and use a VDO gauge. Reason that is because the fuel sender, which I'll show you later, for those fancy tanks is a reverse polarity from your original fuel gauge. So effectively it'll never work with the original fuel gauge. You know, for no more than what it would cost for us to have this rewired, retooled to read that fuel gauge, it's a much better off option than to attach something like this. It doesn't even look right in your car compared to this. So what we're going to do is we got several of them in stock. So we're going to send out all the customers gauges because most of them have this problem anyhow, this yellowing effect. So what we're going to do is we're going to send them out and get these gauges restored. My gauge guy is already aware of what's going on. So he's not only going to restore these gauges for us, but he's going to remap the resistance on the fuel gauge so it matches the sender on these new tanks. It's food for thought. A really skilled gauge restoration place should be able to do that for you. But it requires a little bit of homework on your behalf. Again, we're big fans of that straddling fuel tank that's available nowadays. It's just that I am not a fan of trying to find a place to put this, especially in a step nose where this doesn't even make sense.
Because it was the end of summer, it was about the fall time when he showed up with the trailer. I'm gonna pull this thing off the trailer. Yeah, I would say a little over a year.
Alright. Okay, so it's the beginning of February. It's 19 degrees outside. I don't know what that calculates out to in Celsius. But anyway, this car has been with us just a little over a year. Now, we have not been on this car non-stop. It's been an infrequent build. But this car was really, really deplorable conditions when it came to us. And Johnny and crew have been on it, you know, with great vigilance. I mean, we changed out the entire trunk floor. You've seen in the opening of this video how bad this car was when it came in. And now it's rounding the corner where it's almost done. And it's taken just a little over a year. So, I mean, had we been on this car nonstop, it probably would have took substantially, you know, less time, obviously. But this is where the difficulty of the things come in, because it takes an awful lot of work to get to this point, and then once it's in color, this is when the owners get a little too excited and they want the car, but you can't let it go until everything's just the way you want it to be. This car doesn't have very many things to be dealt with from this point forward. But here it is. When you think about what this thing went through to get to this point, completely reconstructed the back half of this car, completely reconstructed the front end of this car, made massive reinforcements all over this car, and here it is. It's looking pretty good.
Yeah, rockers, floors, lower corners in the quarter panels and fenders where they always rust out.
basically everything structural about this car has been modified. The only thing that